All right, I'm going to go back over here. I've got to press go live here also. There we go. All right, clicked all the little buttons I need to click. Good morning, or should I say good afternoon? Let me make sure I am rolling here. Good deal. Hi, I am Kathy Freeman with Kathy Freeman Art, and I am coming on today to share with you a page from my art journal that I'm going to be creating. As I was thinking about what I wanted to do and what I wanted to share with you today, let me make sure this is going good and it's going well in a few places. Give me a sec. As you come on, please go ahead and just say hello. Tell me where you're from, because it's always a joy to see where people are congregating from. I just love to see that. So, right, perfect. I see it right there in that place. Good deal. All right. So if you say hello, and I've also got this going, it should be going into my little art village. Let me double check there and make sure that it's in the event center for my members. And click to go live. Members. There we go. All right. So so many buttons to press, and I'm so grateful for technology, though. This is wonderful to have all of this at our fingertips and the availability that we have. Welcome. I see that I have some here. So I'm Kathy Freeman with Kathy Freeman Art, and I have a wonderful art group. These are women that love to create. They also, the things that they like to create, though, are just not, they're not limited. They're not limited to acrylic painting. They're not limited to just watercolor. They love all kinds of things. As a matter of fact, we were on yesterday and we were conversing as a group. I always do a Monday at noon with my group, and we chat and we share things. And I just loved it. It helped to answer some questions, because sometimes I'm always wondering, well, do I need to go that direction or this direction? What is it that they might be most interested in? And as we were talking, someone had said, she was talking about fabrics and different things. And the other lady said, I miss my fabrics. I have not used those in so long. And it reminded me of the project that I did right here. There it is. This is the project that I'm going to be doing, sharing and teaching to my art sisters this month of July. But I really missed using some of the stencils and templates that I have. And so in this particular one, I'm going to pull it up so close so you can see, I did a layer here for the background to give it some variety, give it some interest, and just a little bit of contrast to it. And it filled up the space beautifully. So the women that I love to work with are those that love to try and use different things, and they just have a lot of supplies and they want to use them. So that's what we try to integrate. It's a lot of painting. We love to paint, but at the same time, I always love pulling in other things. And today in my art journal, I was going through, this is something I created for the group also last week, and it's a group of cards for those members that are watching or will be watching this here. This is in your Grow Joy journaling section. Grow Joy. It's in that library, and it's last week's handout that I prepared for you and gave to you. You print it off and you can cut it all down here, but it's God's whisper, a reminder I'm seen even in the quiet. He notices even the stillness, I matter. And it's just some great things that I pulled together for you to be able to, like here, self-care routine, to build yourself a daily self-care routine and take care of your health and your wellness as you're going on. I love this one, Letters from God template. My beloved daughter, a letter from the one who sees you. And it's got a little thing here that says, and then some writing that you can do yourself. So there's some activities in here. And then, of course, the affirmations, which is what I'm going to work on here today and put it right into my art journaling book. The one thing I wanted to share is I'm going to share a couple of techniques with you that maybe you've tried and maybe you haven't tried before. I love to have the quotes, these creative reminders, which is part of our library, our group library. These are wonderful quotes, and not quotes per se of other people, but these are affirmations that really zero in on different things and help to really change our mindset. Bottom line, change our mindset in the direction that it might be going in. And today I was just busy doing different things, and sometimes my brain, because I'm so busy trying to do so many different things, and I want to do them all, but it gets a little overloaded, and I can feel that it's getting overloaded, And so I just thought to myself, what creative reminder would really help me to kind of settle my mind down? And it's like my sister-in-law said to me the other day. She says, and my brothers are just like this. When we get a task and it's on the list, our mind stays on that task until it's completed. We become so focused on getting that done. And I was telling her about my husband comments on it too, that I get so ultra focused. And I said, well, we get a lot accomplished, but it truly can be a little overwhelming, I think, at times for others, because we are so focused on things. Anyway, so that's what I wanted to find, was some sort of a affirmation that could just settle my little brain down and kind of slow things and calm it down into a real peaceful little state. And the affirmation I came up with, where's my little papers I'm going to do here? It's this beautiful affirmation. It's number 451 for my members, if you want to find it in your library. I have a strong sense of reassurance. I know I have support because God has my back. I am choosing to be in tune with the promptings that I feel within. I trust God's guidance. I am being guided in my goals and desires. Is that not wonderful? I love that. And I personally don't really enjoy writing in my thing quite so much. I want it to look really pretty, and I get kind of frustrated. So I have found many ways to be able to print these off as I have something, and then I can just adhere them in. And I'm going to share those with you right now before I start painting. One of the ways, and I did a project a couple of years ago with our group, where you take, you can do this with all kinds of like images that you have. And it's that paper it's not necessarily see-through, but it's a really pretty, they'll use it on like wedding cards and things. You can see through just a little bit, but not, it's not super transparent. How you can create that yourself, unless you want to go out and buy that kind of paper, you can create it by using oil. Different, this is just olive oil. And as you can see it. You can see my finger marks right here. If you've ever touched anything that you've got oil on, you can see how it does that. Now it needs to kind of dry. And so I've got a piece of paper towel here and another piece I put on top, and I'll let that dry. And once it's kind of dry, then you just rub it a little bit and take that extra oil off of it and just kind of very gently rub over it. And it will leave that wonderful transparent, see, can you see my fingers in between there? Yeah, you can barely see them, but they're there and you can see the images. And so that's a really neat way to do that. If you just at home, but I chose today to use my non-waxed butcher paper. And so you can see it's a pretty thin paper, and I took it, taped just the top and the sides. I didn't tape the whole thing, just those tops and sides, and I ran it through my printer and let it print the quote and the statement that I wanted. You could also do this with tissue paper, and you would do it exactly the same way. The reason I chose this, two reasons. One, I didn't have tissue paper close by to do it, but two, I just thought, well, it'll be interesting to have just that little layer and have it so you can see it, but it's not so transparent that it blends right in. So this particular page in my journal, I've gone ahead and I had already started it and I thought, well, I'll just work on it and finish it today. This, I went and painted it a green that's very similar to the green in the background of this paper that I have here. And I took a piece of that, ripped that off and laid it in. It's always a journey for me because so many times I think to myself that I've got to, make it this magical piece of art. And actually, you can use papers and do different things with it. And it turns out so beautiful as you go along. All right, so let's start that. And I'm going to start out with our little bird and paint him and then add the branch and that to it. And let's see what colors I've got on my table here I can use. I've got a beautiful blue. Grab this for a palette. It's a little bit challenging when you have a camera that you're trying to keep everything under. When you're just working by yourself and that, it's easy peasy. But when you've got a camera you're trying to work under, it's always a little more challenging. So thank you for your patience as I just try to get this so you can see it and it won't be hidden. There we go. Bringing it right along. I've got this really pretty navy blue here that I'm going to use. Don't need much of that. Wipe it off. Let's add some white so I can get some different shades of that. There's some white popped right out there. There we go. And it would be great to have a little bit of a yellow. See where I can locate my yellow here. Here it is. And then, of course, to incorporate the green too, because we already have green on the paper. Some yellow and perhaps just a teeny tiny bit of coral we might add just to give a little bit of variety to the bird itself. All right, so I've already drawn out my little bird here, sketched him out, got myself some idea of where and how he's going to go. Grab myself a brush. I think I'll use this one. This is about 1/2 inch. And next thing I do need, always have some paper towel or a towel close by so that you can wipe off your brush and mix things easily. Welcome. We've got more here watching, so please say hello and just pop your name in. Tell me where you're from. I'm just mostly curious on where this is being, where you live, where you're from, so it's always fun to see. I'm going to mix this in and just start in with, that actually is too big of a brush. So I'm going to go back down to the smaller one that I had. Pull some of the paint off of that. And let's just start in here. I'll just paint this little, like this is inside my art journal. And I thought the colors would be really pretty with the flowers already there. Give this little bird, fix him up. It's always so relaxing to get out your paints. I'm going to take some of that paint off my brush so it's more of a dry brush. and work with it here. Just because this image that I've drawn is very small. And I didn't choose the tiniest of brushes, but here we go. Let's add a little white to what's going on here with him. And actually to do that, I'm going to pick up a small brush so I have a little more control. This will be great. This is a tiny angle brush. Grab some of that white and go right over the blue, and I want it to mix in. I want it to blend. And then I'll put another layer over the top where it's a little brighter. Good deal. Then we'll go back here. Let's work on his little wing. Since I've got blue here, I'm going to use that, do this wing and this tail. There we go. Clean that out. Got a little bit left in my brush, not very much. Let's just take a little bit and dry brush this area. This blue. Last week when I started creating, I actually started on a red canvas. And there's something about being able to use, have the color, some sort of a background color already down that just really makes it a lot easier to takes away that anticipation of putting down those colors on that white. Okay, we got the blue. It's already mixing a little bit with the green. I've got some green over here. I'm going to add some green to this. Let's add just a teeny bit here too. Kind of his shadow. I'd always paint a little bit quicker because than I would if I was doing it just for myself, because when you're on camera here, I keep things going. There we go. Fun little bird. Take the little brush. Let's add white. Hit here like little lines. I might do better. I'm going to use my brush, but it might be easier to just use the Gelly Roll, the white pen to get probably, but this will be great. There we go. And I want them a little bit brighter white here. Around his little, there we go. Stick those in the water. Let's take the black, fix his little eye. Right there. And then come back with, let that dry, but we'll come back with, just a second, my brain some white. And mix that coral and the yellow. Gotta get his beak. I don't want it too orange, but I don't want it straight yellow either. There we go. Looks fantastic. Letting that black eye dry there so that I can come back, and I'm going to now, I need a brown. Do I have brown on my table here? Let's see. Gold. I don't have, normally I have a brown. Not sure where Mr. Brown took off to. Here we go. Grays and browns. Start working on that little branch. Painting that in. We'll just connect it right over to this. There we go. Put some branches down this way. There we go. Okay. Now I'm going to mix this, just a little bit of white in with this brown. Just a little bit for his legs. Little bird sitting right there. Now what's fun to do is to take your paper and add some of the paint right onto the image and pull it together. It's really pretty when you do that. And I'm going to extend this up like so. And this one over here like this. So you've got part of it painted that you've painted, and the other part is the actual print itself. And I'm going to grab another blue to mix in with this for these flowers. And a little bit of lavender. Some of them have a little lavender to them. So we'll put that just a touch down because we're not going to need much of that. Take this brown and I get enough on my brush. Okay, I'm trying to make little, those flowers are coming off of little tiny stems. So I don't want it to, there we go. Mix those in like that. Let's add some green leaves to this. This is close to the green that I already used. Just a little bit darker. There we go. We'll come back in and darken some of these. Make this little tree branch. And I'm really just giving the impression of leaves. I'm not trying to be super careful. I mean, detailed. That's what I'm trying to say. Just want to give that impression of leaves. Go right over. Like so. That's coming along really well. And I might just come right in here and do some of those leaves myself again. Doesn't need very many. Okay. Fantastic. There we go. Now for my little blue flowers. And it's better if that dries. So I'm trying to think of what I could work on if I just need to grab the hair dryer that I have or the heat gun and dry that. Might be best. Okay, now we can come back in. And add some more of these flowers in here. Can you see what I'm doing? Let me slide this over. I can see it better since I'm working on this side. Just trying to carry similar colors. Doesn't have to be exact, but similar colors to create that continuity. Okay, we've got a little bit of the lavender in here, so let's do this one here with some lavender. Just so that we carry that over a little. Oh, this is so much fun to just play. Not concerned about it being exact. Just see if you can see what I'm doing. Yep. There we go. So much fun. Let's take some of the blue and work with some of the colors here. We'll go right over, paint right over what you see. Just add a little color to it. I'm not going to do every one of them, but that's enough. It pulls that color right over there. And I like this lighter. I'm going to go to this one though and put some of that same blue over here. Just so that it moves, your eye moves with it. Good deal. And then that's lavender. Let's add that color to this little one here. Not pretty. That is working great. Let me move it this way. Paint. And there. I'm really happy with that little journal page. Now I'm going to dry that and then we're going to put the words on it. And I've finished my art journal for the day. Might be just a little wet, or to the paint. Okay, I'm not going to use that one. Where did I put those? Right back here. There it is. Just pull it off. Take my scissors. See, it can lay right there. You see the little birdie behind it. It would be see, I can remove the tape on this. When I pick my creative reminders, I really just pick them intuitively. It's more like the thought that comes to my mind is, I always think to myself, what group of words would be most beneficial for me right now? What would help me enliven my brain and help to just calm my little mind as it wants to, your mind can obsess over things. I'm working at cutting this out. My hand, it's nice to fit right in here. Yes, it does. I think I'll come right up to the edge though and take a little bit more off. we go. And I can just tape that right up on the top, and it can lift. I could always glue it down, but I like that because I can lift it up and look at what's underneath. So you could come up with a really creative way of sticking it down. You know, just going to use some tape, but before I do that too, I think I want to go ahead and add a little interest to this background. And I'm going to use my distressed oxide on here. I usually use a little brush with this. Not to be found right now, my brush. I picked this one. I have a lot of different little templates, but I picked this one because of the flowing movement. This is what I would love to have my brush for. Brush would be much better. But sometimes you have to improvise, right? Let's just hold my finger there and lift and see. It's not carrying through as much as I'd hoped. Like a brush would. But it is getting a little bit of this green, which is a different shade, down. Yeah, a little brush, the bristles would get right in there. And get that. It doesn't help that my let's use this and I'll see how that goes. I wouldn't suggest using your paintbrushes. I went to the dollar store and got the little brushes that you use for eye makeup and that. Those work really well. But this is helping. So I'll just have to clean my brush really well. All right. All right, we're just about through with this. Are you an artist that likes to use a lot of different things? Try different supplies, and is that something that you find interesting? Is all the different neat things that are out there? Oh, I've got I've got some drawers for jewelry making. I've actually took a class years ago and made some beautiful jewelry. I made a cowboy belt buckle, a couple of those, and necklaces. Loved that class. Okay, this is fun. I like the variety of this. The surprise of it. There we go. It's just subtle, a little bit there. Let's put a little over here. I like to bring over to both sides something, a little bit of something that's on each side, just to keep that continuity and keep the eye moving. There. Take care of that beautifully. And if I wanted to, which I'm not going to, but I have this little butterfly here that I could actually cut out, glue on there. Okay, so let's put this down. I'm going to put a little bit of glue at the top. Okay, run that straight across there. I'll just stick it on there. And I'm going to bring it down a little bit because I'm going to cut out the butterfly and stick it on. I hope this has inspired you to get out your supplies and just create. I did not know what I was going to make this morning. So what I did is I looked at what supplies I had, and I had this paper in a, book, and I thought, oh, I love that. I love the color of those and love everything about that. So that became my inspiration, you might say, as to how the mood of this particular piece is going to go. There we go. Let's just stick that little guy down right there. It doesn't matter. I mean, either side looks great. I always like to kind of check my options, see which one feels right. And after I picked my paper, then I looked at the supplies, and I knew I could go a lot of different directions, but it's always fun to just see how how you'll be inspired, what direction you'll be inspired to go in. And the next thought that came to my mind was paint the background a similar green to what's on the paper. Did that, left it, went and worked on something else, came back, and at that point it was like, I wonder what inspiration what affirmation I want to put down today. And I thought about, so many things going on in my brain. I told you my brain gets really focused on things, too focused at times. And so I was thinking, well, I need my brain to kind of calm down a little bit and not be so, ultra focused on something, and be able to breathe a little bit. And so that's what I went to my Creative Reminders library. My Art Sisters, you have access to that. I hope you're utilizing it. And I just thought to myself, what affirmation in here might be really helpful? And just the thought came to my mind to look under the library and look up 451. And as I looked up 451, this is the one that popped up. And I thought, perfect. I love that one. I'm going to read it one more time here at the end. I've got this completed. This is the journal page for today. Used the paper, but I went ahead and added paint over the top. We painted the bird, added the bird underneath, just had fun painting him. It didn't take very long to create a beautiful page. This is what the affirmation says. I have a strong sense of reassurance. I know I have support because God has my back. Just say that one over and over and over. And that just makes your lungs want to expand and your muscles relax and you just want to breathe freely. I am choosing to be in tune with the promptings that I feel within. I trust God's guidance, which I do. I am being guided in my goals and desires. Hello, I'm so sorry I have not been watching your comments. Let me take a minute and say hello to each of you. I'm glad you're here. Hi, Linda. Thank you for the compliment. Thank you. And Lynn, good to see you. Yes, the replay will be on here until, of course, next week when I do a new one. What paper did you use for printing the words? Let me go back over that again. That you'll find that, but there's several options you can do. And what I chose to use is this heavyweight premium dry wax paper. I just pulled myself out a sheet, and you'll see it if you go back and watch the replay because I show you, but I taped it just the top and the sides to a piece of printing paper and ran it through my printer. And that gave that wonderful sheer kind of look where, you see that, oh, I can see something behind it, but it's almost like a little mystery. And if you don't have that and you want to try your own, I showed how to do this. Let me take that off. I did print it on regular printer paper. And then you take oil, but this takes a little bit of time to dry. It takes a day or so to dry. And then once it's dried, you take your paper towel and put one behind it, and then take the top one and you're going to buff over it because you want to get up that extra oil, and it leaves it very similar. It's not quite as, see-through, but very similar kind of effect. I did this in a project probably 2 years ago with my art sisters, and that was a fun thing to do. All right. Thank you very much for showing up here today. I always come on Tuesdays, 12 o'clock Central, and just share little tips and ideas as I'm creating in my art journal. I love to use different things like I showed in the beginning. This is one of our projects coming up, but the stencils and adding the different textures. So add some variety and be creative. I'm going to get that closer so you can see that. That's a stencil that I just painted and used. Add some variety and interest to your artwork and just play with it. Have fun. All right. You have a fabulous Tuesday, and I will talk with you again. Thank you so much for being here. It's good to see you. Thanks for showing up.